Welcome, everyone. I'm really excited about the content we have to present you tonight. First of all, I'll give you a little idea of how we're organizing this conference. So we start out with a little introduction on the AiNB part. And then we'll move on to learn a little bit more about ConceptExpo. We are at ConceptExpo. We're going to find out what they are doing and what's their vision and culture as a company. And of course, the main topic of tonight, design meets digital, with a beautiful example and several examples within that example of what it can mean. And we'll end up with a visit of the workshop. So we organize this event as Association of Interior Architects of Belgium, AiNB, but not all of you are interior architects. So just to give you a brief introduction to what we are doing, we are an organization that is trying to give visibility to this domain. There are many interior architects in Belgium, but the title is not protected, which means that we have some difficulties with our colleagues architects that sometimes still see us as competition when we really are part of a team and we work very well together. And on the examples that you will be seeing tonight, I think it's a very good one on which the interior architects were working hand in hand with the architects with very good results. So what we do, we organize events throughout the year. We really try to create content that is very qualitative. And these are some of the examples that you can see. We have, you have discovered this magazine that were on the chairs, the Nook magazine, which is really a magazine about inspiring interior architects and designers through different examples and topics that are treated. We also work on, of course, producing other types of events that go from architectural trips to, well, conferences, of course. And recently we have developed a website, which is a portfolio online for interior architects. It's difficult for freelancers to have visibility in the market. Bigger companies, it's easier, and therefore this is a portfolio where interior architects can display their portfolio and potential clients can find them online by location, by area, and it's called zoekeninterieurarchitect.be or trouverenarchitectd'intérieur.be. So this is an idea of what we are doing, and that also means, for example, once a year we meet up with students. We call it the kickoff, and we talk to them, inspire them by showing examples of different types of how should I say, of paths that you can have as an interior architect. If you are working alone, if you are working in an office, architecture office, if you work in a different context, and we also give them support on what the kind of things that you have to think about when you become a professional, insurances and liability and administrative support. So INSITU. This is a new event which we thought of. Our idea was to create. This started out already last year with interviews that we were doing online. We thought it's strange. In Belgium, there's this very weird relationship between the designers, and by designers I mean interior architects, designers in general, and then the people who build and people who make it concrete. And it can be very difficult when it shouldn't be, and in other countries it's not. In Japan, the guy who puts the floor, he's an expert in putting the floor. The relationship between the architect and the person who is specialized in wood is very respectful, and we do not have that. We have it sometimes, but many times we don't. So INSITU, it's that. The idea is to have very qualitative content through a conference in a workshop of the people who make it, and this is why we are together today. It's the first edition on the theme that we have that I've already recalled before. Before introducing Mark on the theme of the conference, I want to first of all thank ConceptExpo for allowing us to have this opportunity in your workshop. There's an obvious reason why we are doing this. You will see the content of the that Mark will be presenting. The examples are given within a beautiful project, and ConceptExpo has taken on a very, very ambitious task of building different kinds of objects and of course that have different functions. And it's been an incredible path, and I think the choice that the client made on working with ConceptExpo was absolutely the good one. But I present you Thomas Blake, co-CEO of ConceptExpo, to let us know a little bit more about who you are.
Thank you, Mauro. Well, first, thank you as well for the trust and for giving us the opportunity to organize this first, I think, INSITU event. So it's great to welcome you here. As you will see further in the presentation, it has been great to collaborate with you and your team. So thank you for that. So welcome to ConceptExpo. I was actually thinking we should organize these kind of events more often because our carpentry has never been that clean. So it's great to have you here, and you can come back anytime. Welcome here. Again, very pleased to welcome you here. A first word on ConceptExpo is that, well, you can see here, we're a team of around 70 people. Quite talented people, I believe. I'm probably biased, but I strongly believe it. And the thing I want to talk to you about is that we're really on a path at ConceptExpo to make sure that the people in our teams are as responsible, feel that we trust them, and have the ability to do their job and their projects with as much flexibility, autonomy, and support as they want. So I think that when you work with us, and I hope some of you will soon, you will get the opportunity to feel that trust, that flexibility, that translates into, I believe, quite passionate people, but also people who have the autonomy to act quickly, take initiative, and move on rapidly. So it's a path, you know, building a company culture is a path. It's not always easy, but we are onto that journey, and I believe that, and I hope you guys could feel it as part of this project. It's a key element of working with us and something that makes us quite proud. And also, well, thank you to the team who is working on that with us every day. So our activities, quite historically, we are a big stand builder in Belgium. So we build big booths. I'm going to show you a few pictures. We still do, but it's definitely an industry that has been quite heavily hit by COVID. And we also feel the need, and we have the will to evolve into new industries using our wood and metal capabilities. It's something that we have already been working on for a few years, but now we are going quite rapidly in retail, building shop, pharmacies, in museum. We are quite well known for, we are not the scenograph, so we don't do the scenography, but then we fabricate the wooden elements and do all the integration, a bit like what we did for the project with NCBAM. And then we have this in-collab structure where we actually, previously we were only producing the projects that we were designing. Now we want to collaborate and put our expertise, I believe, in project management, in production, and in logistics and setup at the service of architects. So, I mean, it's as part of that effort as well that we're very pleased to welcome you here. So it's a division that we hope to make grow and get the chance to collaborate with many of you in the future. So how do we work? Simple process. I didn't put pictures on it because you're gonna walk through it after this conference. But the idea is that when you come to us, we first have a project manager who will welcome you, understand the needs of your project, discuss with you the specifics, and make sure that the appropriate team is working on it. Then we have our 3D designers who will draw all the furniture and the different elements in 3D. We'll talk extensively about that in a few minutes. Then obviously all our wood workers who will work on it in the ateliers, and then we have also the teams and logistics to set it up ourselves. So we have a full control on the whole project and the execution of the project, integrating wooden and metal capabilities. And so what we try to offer you and what we want to offer you is first of all a place where you can prototype ideas. So we like to test. We did it in this project. We don't do it for all the projects, but any complex, large project where we feel we need to well, test some things, build trust as well, and make sure that we're very well aligned on very important elements. We prototype them and we invite our clients here to come and visit them. We like to handle complexity. We have people who like to bring solutions and find solutions to challenging projects. So that's something that's really helping us to grow in our different businesses. We like this idea of being a one-stop shop, so you come here and we can offer you the different kind of solutions. And we have a passion for solution. I talked about that already. So one-stop shop, you will see, but we do the project management, the design, wood, metal, logistics, and setup. And then I will get to a few references, but one of the points here is as well that we're looking for partnerships. So it's a big question mark, and I will be happy to discuss it with you afterwards. But how can we? And I know that you guys have also clients who ask you to challenge the partner you work with. But how can we create a long-term relationships such as the ones we're building with NCMM as well? With some of you is something that we would really like to do, and create this kind of long-term privileged relationships with some interior architects is something that we're really looking forward to do. Some references. So we built a big booth at the Salon de l'Auto, Belgian motor show. Actually, a lot of these elements are reused, and it's something we're working quite a lot on to make sure that even though it's temporary, we can reduce the environmental impact of these activities as much as possible. We do that for Batibo as well, for clients such as TÜV. We do museum, that's Eurospace Center. We're currently doing the War Museum in Bastogne. We did the Museum of Natural Sciences in Brussels. So quite a few of the famous museums you know are made by us. This, for example, a face that we created using 3D modeling and putting the different layers. So these are different wood layers that are put above each other to create that. So again, the museum brings us these technical challenges that we like, that help us progress in our craftsmanship. Some retail projects, ProShop, which is a chain, Lucien in Brussels, a new bike store, Rolex. So I mean, you see the kind of projects that we can handle. So well, I hope I was not too long. Thank you very much for coming here. And now I'm very. I know you're going to introduce Mark, right? Sorry. Yes. So I let Mauro introduce Mark. And thank you again to all of you for being here.
Thank you. And just before introducing Mark, because I always forget, I'd like to thank, well, all the ConceptExpo team for the organization of the event. Also Elke, thank you for all the work. And on our side, of course, Aurore, Mark. I want to thank already in advance, because we have a special guest tonight, Lorraine Beckers. She's the project director of the BNP Paribas Fortis building, and she's here with us tonight. So she'll be able to give us a little insight on the project, on which Mark will talk about in detail of some of the interventions that were made there, and that are good examples of the topic of tonight. And just before leaving the chair to you, Mark, I just want to tell you that I got in contact with computational design through Mark a few years ago, and I mean, I had already knowledge of what was going on in terms of architecture, but it seemed very distant. It seemed that was mostly on aesthetics, and I wasn't sure how to apply this in interior architecture. So what this relationship and how it has evolved, and getting the knowledge that I got from Mark, and I have to say, when you talk with Mark, there's literally flames bursting out of his eyes of excitement, and the ideas go so fast in his mind. Sometimes he's not talking, but you see that his eyes are trying to communicate the ideas. And that's because he sees just possibilities and endless possibilities. And sometimes, Mark, wait. We don't need 20 possibilities. And I think this is what it means. Computational design offers a lot of possibilities, and then you have to choose between parameters that can have an impact on sustainability, using less material, building lighter, or adjusting a budget because you're using more or less material, and Mark will speak more in detail. And then, of course, I started seeing how, indeed, it could be very impactful in interior architecture, and not only in architecture, definitely, but also in the work we are doing every day. So, enough from me, and I present you Mark Martinez.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming and taking the time to listen about this subject. As Mauro said, it's been part of my passion since the very early beginnings from finishing my studies, so I will explain a bit what I'm doing. The talk will be about design meets digital. It's about evolution and about the relationship between design and what we do, and then how we fabricate it, optimizing resources and materials and so on. And well, I'm an architect, head of computational design at INSITU, creative agency. We do services for design, for experience, strategy, and branding. I'm multitasking. I like to do many different things in the office, but I'm enjoying a lot when there is a bespoke element that we need to solve. We need to find out a reason to design it, how to fabricate it. So this is where I really come in, and I try to make it real, no? To make it happen. Because sometimes we have many ideas, but then to produce them is not always easy. We have budget limitation, we have time limitation, and we have to prove the client that it's doable. So, computational design, as you could see here, I try to express a bit where I've been using it. I've been designing stands, I've been doing fabrication, I've been helping how to fabricate things. I've been teaching in academy in London, Oxford Brookes, for a couple of workshops with students. I applied architecture, also the computational design. I've been doing bioclimatic consultancy to do more sustainable facades and to do studies that have an impact in buildings. And most of my work recently has been in the domain of interior design, where I'm going to show you a bit part of the work. Why and what computational designer? It's a question that you may have, maybe, because it's not that a common introduction to say, hi, I'm computational designer, so it's a bit far. The reason it's my path. Everyone has a path. I finished my studies. I studied in Spain, and this is the type of architecture I was taught. My teachers were very orthogonal, and I had this school that had this vision about how should be architecture and design. And at that time, when I was finishing my studies, I was in panic because I was more interested about Zaha Hadid, Libeskind work, Snoeta, and I was like, oh, I'm going to finish my studies and I don't know how to make other type of work. Sorry, I'm a bit with my throat. And do you see any difference between these two type of lines of design? This group represents what I've been taught and what was my passion, no? So I was finding myself at the end of my studies like I'm in trouble because what I want to do, I cannot make it happen. This is why I came back to studies and I did a master in computational design and fabrication, and I started creating algorithms for design. And also part of my my studies were to understand the methodology of digital fabrication, how really fabricate something. It looks like it's not important, but it's very important because it can allow us. It's a line between doing it or not doing it, time, budget, and resources. This is how my desktop looks like. You can see here there is a model where I have I'm modeling in 3D. In the right screen I have an algorithm. It's just a simple interface. Some people do coding. I'm using a program that has an interface quite simple. Most of my colleagues do not see it like this, but well, once you learn, it's simple. And then you can see, for example, the result of this workflow when we are doing a 3D. And I would like to take the opportunity to show in a simple video a bit how looks an algorithm. Basically, this is composed. An algorithm, it's something like you build. It doesn't have its own life and do whatever it wants. It creates what you want and what you need to do. And basically, it's composed by an input. Then there is a process that you create. And then, because you try to get a result. This result is called output. And, well, I'm going to play the video. We have the example here that I want to share with you is like the input, it's 3 lines in the 3D model. The output, for example, we can analyze quantities, we can measure material, and we can play around. So the input, you could see here, it's 3 lines. The lines in the process, basically, they are connected and they create a surface. Then there is a line that has planes. The planes create an intersection between the surface and the plane, so it creates a line. And this line, then they will be used to create a path to create a sort of beam in wood. Once we have the beam in wood, we can have how many, the length for every beam, the total linear meters for the beam, the quantity, you can have weight, I mean, you can calculate the weight, the volume, everything. And then this is the parameters. So you can just adjust the density of the ribs. You can adjust, if you find another type of beam that you would be interested in the section, you can adjust this section. And then voila, now we have a section of 10 per 2 centimeters and we have 50 elements. How does it look with 80? More dense, do we like, do we don't like? You can test in real time. And the good about working with an algorithm is like if the input has an adaptation, the process will adapt immediately and then you can get the result in a few seconds. So this is what makes easy and this is what allows you to test many options and then find out which is the shape or the project that responds the best for what you are looking for. You could see here, for example, how many tests we have done, and it wouldn't take us that much time if we want to find out another geometry or explore another shape. Now I wanted to this is how was an algorithm, but I wanted to share with you a bit of history. I don't know, sometimes in architecture studies or interior design studies, we study some masters, some people, but not all. I wanted to share with you a bit of the context, no? So from past to present, how CAD and computers impact in our work. Before CAD, this is how an office of architecture could look like, full of tables, many people drawing big scale drawings, and if you do an error, you have to start again or fix it somehow. But thanks to evolution, computer came, CAD appeared, it's computer-aided design. It came in 1957. So this is how it was looking like the first AutoCAD version. So the first time someone could design something, share a file, adapt, and print it in different scales. So it was a lot of time gained here. And for 33 years in the 90s, AutoCAD was looking like this. Basically, it changed the interface. It did some adaptations, but it continued being just a CAD drawing. A computer-aided design was producing a drawing. And there is in the history of this fabrication and digital culture that Frank Gehry came in with this project in 1992. It's the Golden Fish for the Olympic Games in Barcelona, and it was built in the 1992. the question is like, do you think it was built with using AutoCAD? Well, no, they couldn't make it in AutoCAD. Frank Gehry and his office, they had already an assignment and signed a contract with Katia to develop its own software. So basically, Frank Gehry had a own software because he was working with such a particular geometries that required a lot of complexity in terms of mechanically. So CATIA is not just a software of computer-aided design, it's also computer-aided engineering and manufacture. It means basically like when he was creating an adaptation in the surface, the engineering and the manufacture got adapted as well. It allows them to gain time and to gain and be part also of the fabrication, together with the guys who built this amazing project in the '92. So it is just sometimes the reflection is like how just a software can deblock a particular project, and it's just a question of a program, to have the right program to do the right thing. The question now is what happened before computers, how was to build a complex shape. This is what we call form finding. It's something I wanted to share with you today. Form finding, it's a process where an architect or designer is just looking for a shape, trying and playing around with material and physical textures, like paper, fabric, and so on. So while creating like shapes, if they work in the paper, then you can take pictures from top, from front, and then you can use these images to create your plan. And this is how you take, instead of creating from computer and then to make it real, you go from the real to the plans. And I wanted to share with you some form finding masters. We're going to start by Sagrada Familia. Many of you maybe visited. You may find a special interior. The arcs are exceptional, and most of the shapes that you have seen in the interior and in the exterior is not something like Gaudí just draw by because it was looking good. It was something because Gaudí was studying those shapes from inverted models, where he was applying weight to some ropes. This is called, well, just a rope, a system of a rope that is suspended from 2 points. This is called catenary. And just by putting some weight, you could see how the red arches were answering. So from the inverted model, he could take pictures, he could inverse it, and then he could get the shape to create a section of the building. So it's not like you impose the geometry, it's like nature is showing to you how the geometry should be to be more efficient and to use less material in concrete, in steel, and so on. So it's good to see nature, how we can learn from it. You can see some more complex examples. So it's quite impressive, the research that he was doing in catenaries. Another master is Fray Otto. He went a bit one step further. He was not studying catenaries, he was studying surfaces. He was very interested about finding the minimal surface to create efficient structures. So he won, he's a Pritzker winner. He's German, and he won the Pritzker winner for the Munich Olympic Stadium. I will show you a picture later. But building this type of spaces in architecture at that time, it was very difficult. I mean, because how to create a plan, how do you make trust? And as Gaudí, he was creating these inversive models where he could then get information to make plans for engineers and build a very complex shapes at that time. I would like to talk also about the exceptionality of Fray Otto because he was doing studies from soap bubbles. I wanted to share with you this film. Sorry. So this is soap bubbles, and the studies that he was trying to find the limits of a soap bubble before breaking, because the shape that you can get, it means like if it doesn't break, it's because it's very resistant. And if you copy this shape, you may save concrete material, you may save plenty of resources. So this is the type of studies and shapes that he was looking for. He was looking for in those experiments. I was quite impressed by the first time I was seeing these videos, because I never thought that you could get inspired or from nature. I never thought about looking for shapes based in soap bubbles. So when I saw all his research and how he managed to make holes, then to extend surfaces, and all of those arches, then you could use them to build buildings and spaces like he was doing. Here you can see the complexity of a few bubbles together with different points. Okay. So this is the film that he did for those studies. And basically, from once he was getting this surface, he was taking a picture from front, from top, and then he could draw those type of shapes. No. So from the soap studies, he was coming to the model in 3D, and as you could see, the shape, for example, for these columns was based in the experiment that he was getting from nature. This is the Munich Olympic Stadium. It's a building that it exists nowadays, and I'm quite sure that if you ask it to build it, it won't be easy even today. So, or to prove the engineers that it's doable, this building. So it was quite impressive to do that back on time. And for the last and not least, it's about I would like to share with you Sergio Mumeschi. He was an engineer, Italian engineer. He did the Basento Viaduct in the south of Italy in the early 70s, and like Frei Otto, he based the shape of the base of the bridge from soap bubble shape. So he managed to get this type of shape that then he would apply to concrete, and like this, he was being quite sure that the minimum amount of concrete was required to build the bridge. From this experiment, he managed also to get the drawings and the sections and all the documentations to create a big model that then he was testing again. And you can see how impressive is the result from a model and a mock-up that we are giving the importance today when you do complex shapes to the final result. And computational design today, I would like also to talk about, and this is why we are here. This is I would like to share with you a few examples that we have done for this amazing building. The context is very innovative. It's an exceptional building in Brussels, and the architects, they used computational design for the design fabrication of the facade elements. And the building already inspired us since the very beginning. This building, as you may know, is the new Brussels headquarters of BNP Paribas Fortis in Brussels. And you could see the contrast between the exterior of the facade with the court, the open court that has inside. So there are languages that dialogue here together, and this was already an inspiration for us to do the interior interventions. And for this amazing project on this building, we did many things, but because of the time that we have limited, we are going to show you just a few things. So it's going to be the coffee bar, the bespoke ceiling in the out corner, the reception, and what we call the WAPS wall. And we're going to start by the coffee bar. This is how it looks today, the coffee bar. It's composed by a bar in terrazzo and what we call it's a bespoke ceiling, very light at the top, and the terrazzo intended to be very solid and very massive. and we wanted to create a relationship between these two shapes that were like dancing together, and they were having this dialogue between both of them. The ceiling it has a light, it has a diffuser, so it's lighting all the bar. And the movement of the shape, I will try to explain it a bit in the process. How we started to create the shape and how we started to make this project was, first of all, we did analysis, because this bar is placed in an atrium. It's an open space where there were many circulations, and we were wondering where to place it and where was the best place and what would be the right shape. So we studied like the circulation for the employees, the visitors, the people that will be moving around, and we found out like this spot here was very good, because this is the entrance for the employees and this is the entrance from the visitor sites when you get a badge. So they were both meeting in this point, and the shape was respecting a bit the circulation to flow around the open space. And by the same time, by placing here the counter, we had 4 different areas that we could consume with good lighting and very comfortable around the action that was happening here. So the first approach was to find the right shape. And secondly, because it's a building for 4,500 employees, well, the equipment is not that easy to fit in a counter, because it needs to work well for both parts, for the side of a client, customer, and also for the side of barista that will be working. So it needs to be efficient for the barista side. So this is why we put a lot of effort in the technical drawings to place the right equipment in the right place. And like because of the shape, in order to work also with ConceptExpo and the person from the techniques, we were developing already unfolded elevations. This is how we were taking the counter. We were like opening it, and like this we could have a clear vision of how is the sequence from the barista side. And also we were trying to find out the ergonomy from the client side, where we have this type of shape to be really close from this part of as a customer, and also understanding a bit how the barista will work from the interior. Then once we had the shape and all the equipment were working, we were thinking about the materiality. And since the moment that this is a bar that expects to have the coffee, in the morning we can find like fresh juice and also, well, in the building we had already an environment that was already developed by the architects. We had a floor which is terrazzo, and all the cores were covered in wood for acoustic reasons as well, with some material for acoustics. We thought about the terrazzo material to come up from the flooring, like if it's a seamless integration with the floor, like a sculpture, and also giving this sculptural touch to a shape that it's moving and it's flowing along the space. So something rigid, moving, and having this sculptural touch, we thought it was very nice. And also we thought about creating a gradient that then we discussed with the artisans that are also here, and we find out how to make it. Instead for the cascade, instead for the bespoke ceiling, we were using like something very very light as materiality, and like this we could have this contrast. Once I wanted to now talk about the fabrication, the process. We have Thomas maybe that will speak about the mock-ups.
Yeah, I can. I will try to speak as good as you. So we have 2 shapes that are dancing together. So the mock-up. So the idea is here. That was the first bar that we were going to create, and the idea in the mock-up is first, well, to try to handle all the complexity that we're going to foresee in the project, and try to build the piece as complicated as possible. So here we knew that the complicated part was, you have the counter that is a flat part, and then you have the curve here that is going to pass from underneath to over the counter. So we knew that intersection was quite critical. So we chose that one so we could stretch the techniques and make sure that it would work well. So we prepared that. Mr. Borgaletto and his team worked on that. So they are the team who worked on the terrazzo. Worked on that quite a lot as well, and you're going to see later in the tour the different phases that we used to first build the wooden structure, then fill it in, and then cover it with the terrazzo. So, well, we learned a lot through this process, and it's really something we enjoy a lot doing.
Yeah,
it was quite useful, I hope, for you guys.
Yeah, because it was like somehow for the architects or the designer, it's somehow you see that it is doable and it's real, and then if you have managed the more complex shape, then the rest of the contour will be done. And then we also thought about the ingredients for the gradient. So we first did the first trial selecting what type of stones will appear, and then this is how the artisans they managed to create this amazing gradient that then we had to apply in the general contour. So we had the good news about we can do it, and then we can get the gradient. So now we move forward, and then I wanted to share with you about how is the coordination for this type of geometries, because it cannot be with a PDF. And we were sending a surface to ConceptExpo. Then they were putting this surface inside their programs, and they were creating this beauty 3D complex with all the system that in wood that they will use to give the shape. And when I receive it back, my way to verify that this was correct is like fitting the original surface inside their construction carcass, and voila, and then we knew it was going to work well. This is some images about the process for the assembling. We can see the time lapse that they did for this amazing job. How to go from a system of ribs to a surface. They find out how to solve it because this is the magic that happens behind the scenes, and it's the workshop you will see later. But they make it happen, and they make it look it very simple. It's amazing how when you compare the result, you have a contour that looks very heavy, and then understanding how efficient, light, and how easy it's built. It's very cool. So yeah, this is how we pass from here to this side. Yeah, this is the magic of the fabrication and all the expertise that they have, and also the terrazzo experts. So just quickly to explain a bit, once we had the carcass and we had this, the terrazzo artisans, they were creating these different ingredients for the different colors, like we could see here. And there was some work to do a bit on the model. So we went there with some ropes to indicate how the gradient should work, because these lines, they are called isocurves, and they came from my model, from my original model. And basically they were giving us like the right movement to create the terrazzo gradient. Like this, everything was flowing together in the shape. This is how it looks after the terrazzo application. You could see the gradient from the white to something more brownish at the top. And you can see the process of how is this handmade also done over this surface with this disc with some diamonds, I think, particles, no, that were creating this. The color of the stone was coming out from the terrazzo. So it was very beautiful to see this change from the raw terrazzo applied to the final end. This is the level of softness that we get in the workshop after they sand all the parts. So you could see all the edges here, how rounded the shapes can be. And now I wanted to speak about the bespoke ceiling. To do that, yeah, it's just I wanted to explain that what I was showing before about the form finding process. This is how you can do form finding today through a computer. So this is I will show you how we designed this bespoke ceiling. Oh, sorry. So I think I have a problem with to play the. Yeah, I cannot play the video. Okay, now. So we had two rails, the interior and the exterior rail. It was created by a surface, and then we created like a sort of net between this surface. This net is it works like ropes with certain elasticity. So when we apply gravity, there is a component in the algorithm that creates a physical simulation. So it creates like a sort of movement in the elasticity, because the shape, all of a sudden, all of these little segments, they are elastic, and the gravity creates this shape. So this is how we find out the shape, and we find out a bit how we want it to be moved, because once we had this movement, we were moving the central ring up and down, and then we give some inclination, and this is how we were finding the right shape that we wanted to get in relationship with the contour. We wanted to be a bit open to the main entrance, and this is why we more or less leave it like this. But I wanted to show you how the model it's alive. It's like reacting to the movement of the interior ring. And the geometry is not something that I impose. It's not like a geometry that I just force to be. It's a geometry that it's doable, because it's like it's naturally given by a calculation. No, so it's like how a material will react, and this will be the right shape. Yeah. So at the end, we ended up putting down a bit the ring, and then open it to the front. And then we were giving the texture, and you could see through the transparency and how the mesh is overlapping and creating this effect that we wanted to get. So I was not using models or bubbles. I was using the computer, because I had a bit less time to the creative part. And yeah, it was also a challenge for us. And I remember to come here and to see this amazing mock-up on the workshop, and see the light going through, and see things becoming real and doable. And this trust was very important also for the client to go further. You could see here how the two rings are placed on site. How this ring is literally a bit inclinated and put it down. This is the architectural mesh that we selected to be hanging from the exterior and interior perimeter. And this is how this bespoke ceiling it's looking today, and how is this movement happening, and how the light it's going through, lighting the contour of the coffee bar. And this is the type of details from the stone on site, the junctions, how the glass and the integration, all of these type of elements. It was ConceptExpo who managed to solve and to find solutions for that. And I'm gonna talk now about the bespoke ceiling in the odd corner. This is the mock-up that we did here. The bespoke ceiling, it's also in relationship with the contour in terrazzo, which is here below. There is also a movement here happening, and the reason it's that shape is because in the odd corner, many people was going to come and buy here, and we needed certain linear meters for the consumers. This is why the movement is coming out, in order to gain linear meters and have more offer input. And then the bespoke ceiling the intention was to contain all the techniques that happen in the ceiling, and also have a fluidity movement all along this contour, and integrating also the lighting. This is the mock-up here in the left on the workshop, and you could see here in the right side a screenshot from their software, where they from our 3D they had to pass it into real life, and they need to put all the junctions, all the details, all the suspensions, and on all the guides, the guides, in order to suspend all the elements. And the reason I wanted to share with you this is because we had a coordination with the constructor. They had a very complex model in BIM, and in this building everything had to be very efficient, and we couldn't find out an error on site. So this very detailed BIM model, it was given to me. I had to, after the concept was validated, we remodel it, very precisely to respect all the sprinklers, all the fire elements that will protect, creating all the integration and hide all these techniques that happen in the ceiling. So it is just to share with you sometimes how is the workflow, and also that in terms of precision, if there was a really well-aligned triangle between a constructor of the building, the designers, and the fabricator of the ceiling, in order to respect all of that, and everything went very smooth in this area, even though it could have been complex to solve. This is the type of plans for extracted from a BIM model with all the techniques to respect. And this is, for example, we managed to have centered, for example, the sprinkles for the fire. So everything was very aligned and perfectly placed.
I think here, just to complete, the fact that we all worked on 3D models, the BIM, Marc and his team, and us and Michel and Florent, working with 3D models and passing the 3D models to each other was something quite useful. Just as a contrast, we were all speaking the same language.
Yeah, in this dialogue, we managed to for the junctions, for example, it's something like it's always appearing where we don't want, but we managed to control them, to be part of the design, so it's things that you can anticipate and to solve from the fabrication. This is how it looks, both elements as well here, the contour with the sinuosity movement here in the bottom, and then the ceiling at the top. So every lamel is different, every lamel is customized, every lamel has its own place, so this is how make simple something that could be difficult. So it was between these digital files that we were sharing together, and this is the effect. And do not forget that I'm not going to get here, just by using the same type of techniques for the contour and for the bespoke ceiling, we created also in different levels of the atrium a fresh bar where there is a food offer based in salads and more veggie food, and it has also its own cascade based in the condensity water, like this type of dots that have different sizes. And you could see here the level of detail also for the terrazzo and the cascade and the bespoke ceiling, and also the señalitic, the signage that we were applying in the project. And we also did the suite bar in the last floor of the atrium, where there is also a bespoke ceiling and also a contour, having also the gradient and some details here, because every contour had different type of color in the terrazzo. We're almost at the end. I'm gonna talk now about the reception. This is the image that we produced when we had the concept, but everything came from this sketch. The bank, one of the slogans is BNP, it's in a world that it's in change, and then it was very important for us to create something like could take part of this sentence, and also responding properly to both entrances and then to the geometry of the building. So we created a reception with a wall that you could see here in the section that was like somehow flowing and closing a bit the reception desk. And from this sketch we started working, and we developed this reception. So you could see here it's a counter. Well, it's a counter. It's a reception desk placed, and then all the wall in the back it's together. And we wanted to create a sort of frame with the movement in the back, and to frame the reception desk properly here. How we make it, you could see here the plan. We have a couple of entrances here and there, and we draw the lines. I did an algorithm to automatize a bit of all of this process. We created the shape for the reception, and this is the wall from the BIM model that we had built. And we just wanted to absorb this wall and to create something very smooth. So this is the green surface. And the algorithm had this surface as a base, and also we draw a couple of lines that you will see now. We were managing to create something very smooth here in the right. and these two lines were the input of the algorithm. So just by moving up or down the lines, the movement of the wall was adapting to the curves. This is why we had to test quite a bit to find out the good movement and the good flow on the movement. You can see here how the vertical elements are connecting with the ceiling above, and we are always starting and finishing vertically. So there is a soft movement happening from this side, getting the inclination and matching with the ceiling, and then ending up totally flat. There is also an integration of the lighting, and there is this movement, very fluid, that happens. And this is something like an algorithm help us a lot to solve, to design, and then to transfer to ConceptExpo, and then like this they could have a good base to understand the complexity and to start solving the connections, the integration of the lighting, and to start, they had a good point of departure. To get this amazing mock-up that we came also here, and we saw it, and it was like something we found emotional, because once again it was doable, and the light was looking very good, and the inclination was solved. So some images from side, the level of detail because every single element that has the inclination with the ceiling has different angle. So they managed to solve a sort of detail to give different inclinations. So this is things that we architects cannot arrive, and this is where experience and the know-how of ConceptExpo, they managed to make it easy, actually. And we didn't have to worry about. This is the some installation, also with the cabling for the lighting, and some images to see how it looks. This is the reception desk, how it looks today. And also from the other side. It's just to mention, like we used also terrazzo, white terrazzo, like in the floor, to create also this envelope. And I wanted to finish with a sort of conclusion here. It's about, I believe, like the new workflow between designers, architects, interior architects, and the industry. By using, it can create new possibilities, because we respect resources, we can manage, we can optimize time, and we can get a high precision managing complex geometries. And the digital files here is a good example of triangulation between architects and manufacturers, creating a seamless collaboration where they have a problem, we try to solve it from design, and the way around. When there was something imposed from design, we could adapt it for letting fabrication move forward. And also the importance of the mock-ups, because everything that we have seen here tonight had a mock-up before to prove and to learn, and then to make it and to push the boundaries further. So, yeah. Thank you so much, and voilà. I think I've been a bit fast, because I wanted to show you a lot of content. Maybe there were some questions in the past. I don't know if you would like to ask something about a project in particular or something. We can do it now, or we can do it in the workshop when we will be visiting. So please feel free to ask me or ConceptExpo about the things that maybe you have found interesting. Voilà, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Maybe a few words of thank you, and then I will explain how we can proceed. I kind of interrupted your question session, so so I think it's going to be easier if we can do it in the workshop and we have more time. First of all, thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
It's been very inspiring, really. It's great to see your passion, your talent, how you use algorithm. And it has been great to be able to be partners on this project, because it challenged us a lot. We learned a lot. We improved thanks to you. So I was almost a bit stressed when you were showing the drawings again. I was like, can we really do that? And actually we did it. No, so it's really a chance to work with you, and you also open new possibilities for us. So thank you for that, and thank you for the trust also Mo and the team. Really, it's been a great pleasure to work with you, and thank you to BNP as well for the trust. Thank you to the team at ConceptExpo who worked on the project. There were many people involved, but I think particularly on Michel, Florent, Arthur, Alain was involved as well. Alain is my co-CEO. I didn't introduce him as well, but he's an important part of this. Then thank you to Cathy and Valérie who organized the whole event tonight. So it's thanks to you that you're going to see the setup, and it's actually quite fun for us to rediscover this building differently. We rarely, or I think never have had events in the. Have we had already events in the carpentry in the workshop?
I don't think so.
So it's the first time we do an event and we have a dinner in the carpentry. So it's quite unique for us, and it's a great chance to rediscover our building as well. So thank you for that, and thank you for all the organization. And then thanks to all of you for being here. Well, it's a great pleasure to welcome you here. As a next step, so you all had a color on your badge. So the idea is that we go and visit the workshop. So we're going to see the wood workshop, the metal workshop, with different steps. People from NCEBAM maybe don't have a color. I think you're considered as part of the organization, but you can join any group.
Okay, cool.
So the idea is that you're going to see small colored rounds there in the lobby. So if you can go there, if you have a good friend, go in the other color. Like there's nothing too strict about this. But so we are not two big groups, and we can have the time to have a good discussion. We're gonna take 10 minutes more or less at each step, and then we meet again for a good drink, a good dinner, and we can get all the answers and all the burning questions to Mark. So thank you, everybody.